All right. Hello, everybody, and happy Thursday. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So show me a little bit of those heart emojis. I'm here in the Hive. I know you normally see Vivian, the Hive with Vivian, and this show has been around since 2017. Isn't that wild? Eva
Yeah,
and
That's
Adam,
it is
fantastic.
amazing.
so I guess even Adam. And what's amazing is that she was one of the first, if you go to the next slide, the Hive was one of the first shows to stream live outside of VR, in VR. Isn't that cool?
Hmm.
What a cool tidbit. Um, and, it's become a production company, and she passed the mic on to me, mic drop. and
Woo!
and now here we are, we're in the
Congrats.
Hive. Yeah, so, of course, um, my name is Nava, and so it's the Hive with Nava right now. And my background is in social media. I'm originally from Cleveland. Go Browns. Anybody from Cleveland out here? All right. So I'm beyond excited to be a part of the revival of the Hive and to join the Altspace community. So now that we're all cleared up, I'd like to introduce Adam and Eve. This is
Yes.
Eva. I know, sorry. It's like Adam and Eve. Um, they are co-founders of VRLab, and they're best friends and partners. So how awesome is that? It's a true love story. The day before Valentine's Day.
Happy
Love it.
Galentine's Day.
Happy
Today is
Galentine's Day
Galentine's Day,
too.
Nava. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, and we've been Galentine's or gal friends for a long time.
Yeah, happy Valentine, Eva.
Hmm.
So getting into Eva, I met Eva. She was the first person I met in VR. Do you remember the first person you guys met in VR? Yeah, so she was forward in virtual reality. She started as a retail store, right? A retail storefront in
A VR
2015,
pop-up in San Francisco.
and she
And that was
created a
back in
community.
2014.
2014, I know, isn't that wild? It's 6 years
Hmm.
ago.
Yep.
And moving forward, she, grew the community, did meetups. I think you even worked in Tiltbrush, right? You work with communities in Tiltbrush, and she's been, building community and fostering it since inception, pretty much. And
Yeah, since 2014, where we had
right,
our
and
event series in San Francisco, and we were actually highlighting a lot of projects coming out of the community at that time, and Tiltbrush was actually one of them. So it was amazing just to see the evolution of Tiltbrush, seeing it on, the DK2, and then seeing it on the HTC Vive, and now it's on the Quest. It's just amazing.
right, and then you went on to
Hmm.
co-found the AR/VR Women Group,
Yep.
and I'm a part of that group. It's a very inclusive community,
Yeah, that's
and
how we
you
met.
created in 2015. Yeah, that's how we met. Well, we met in Facebook Spaces.
Yep.
Um,
We met in virtual reality for the first
right.
time. Hmm.
Isn't that crazy? We met in virtual reality and then we met in real life. How wild is
Yeah,
that? Social PR is the future of communication. And then
definitely.
and then the person next to her, her partner in crime, I guess you could say, is Adam Bruce. Adam,
Yep.
a really cool fun tidbit about Adam is he created the first YouTube user generated content generator, right?
Well,
Well,
let him explain.
Yeah,
it
I'll let him explain.
was the first UGC video sharing website on the internet. It was before YouTube came out, and there were after us there were a few more that came out like Vimeo and stupidvideos.com and some others. But I came up through that, and 6 years ago moved into virtual reality, which is where really the focus of my work has been over the last few years. It's an exciting place to be now, and it's just growing and it's vibrant, and it's wonderful to be a creator in this community.
Yeah, and one of the times that I interviewed you in Facebook Spaces was when he had just produced The Blue, which I don't know if anyone has experienced it. It's an immersive experience where
Give a
we worked
thumbs up if
together.
you've done the blue.
Yeah, or an
Okay.
emoji.
A lot of you. Yep.
Yeah, he produced it, the Blue Deep Rescue, and it's with WeVR and Dreamscape.
Weaver.
Yeah, so it was
Weaver.
a joint production. VRLab is, we have been developing multiplayer VR experiences since 2014, and that really came out of Eva's work doing location-based VR experiences. And so when Weaver and Dreamscape decided to collaborate on bringing the Blue into shared space VR, I was really lucky to be the producer of that experience. And it was really incredible because 6 people could go into a room together and save a whale in VR, and it was kind of a shared experience you could do with your friends. And it's a whole different type of virtual reality because you could like literally high five somebody and feel their hand like that, and because they're there with you. And so the Void and Zero Latency and all these others have come out and done incredible location-based work as well, which has really kind of led me to where I am today.
Right. And where you are today is the reason why I had them on, besides just being great friends and amazing developers. They, the first time I saw this experience actually was with Bobby Carlton. We were at OC6 and I was just walking out the front door and here are these people dancing in a circle doing patty cake. And I'm like, what is going on over here? It was, right? It was just so wild.
This is at OC6.
Look, here's John Carmack right here. So as you could see, they were all standing next to each other. They had headsets on, and wow, right? Let's get some emojis for that, right?
Thank you.
So
Thank you
Eva and Adam, tell us about your shared experience that you worked on with VRLab, and how you two came up with it, and worked together on it.
Yeah, it was, again, it kind of came from the work where we started off with our pop-up store in San Francisco and started doing VR events, but we quickly realized that the real estate cost was very much a drain on the business model. It was actually better for us to take our pop-up to the events, go to places like Maker's Fair where you get an audience that really cares about VR and serve it to them. And we kind of realized that we should focus on building portable experiences, things that we could take and move to bring them to the locations and make them more widely available. Which is why after doing the experience I did with the Blue and Deep Rescue, I was like, we need to build experiences like that be able to bring them to a school or bring them to your local basketball court or bring them to a conference like we did at Oculus Connect 6.
Continue that pop-up model that we've used since the beginning.
So, the challenge for us was making the John Carmack app review at Oculus Connect 6, and we couldn't actually show it on stage because it was a shared space VR experience. So something where we'd have to actually rope off an area and bring lots of people in. So we knew from the get-go we had a design constraint of having to be really guerrilla about it and being able to lay down space quickly and invite people in. And so this is where it was like a really fun event. We literally threw down tape lines at Oculus Connect 6, roped off an area, and Carmack came in and went into VR with everybody, and it was just
maybe we can go to that slide. Can we go to slide 5? I want everybody else to see how that was. Right here. So the blue line right here is the tape you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah, and so we had to of course, I mean, this is what he has been really pushing for a long time is make VR accessible so that we can become useful. And so for my side, I'm like, well, in order for it to be accessible and useful, we need to be able to set it up quickly and be able to share it, with people who, are just in the middle of a thing and jump in and be able to collaborate on a space. And so we knew we had a design constraint of probably had less than 5 minutes to set this thing up. Eva, fantastically has a community of people who, helped,
Yes, these are the women
crowd
from
control.
ARVR Women that were so patient, and they were in virtual reality,
Yeah,
waiting for
they
John
were
Carmack to get a
amazing.
minute.
Thank you. And it
I
gave
love
us the
that he's
ability
smiling.
to share it. And so part of my so on the VRLab side, we really have focused on event production and produce and marketing. I'm also a researcher at the Institute for Human Machine Cognition, where my specialty and area of research is human embodiment into avatars in VR. Like right now, I'm working with, like, say, hand tracking on Oculus Quest, and how we could do things like do sign language in VR to each other.
Wow.
So for me, I'm looking at, like, how can I get it so that when you're in this avatar, it really feels like you and it reacts how you want. And then I want to be able to share that knowledge, out so that we can get these, get this understanding, like, into all of our experiences. How can we make AltSpace has come so far since, its first inception, but, like, these kinds of ideas, we could really make it just even more incredible in the future. So
Absolutely. And the experience that I had when I was in it was just, it was one of those experiences where you're like, wow, I feel like a kid, it was such a loving, happy feeling to be able to connect people in VR and not be alone. Right?
Well,
Exactly.
and Eva is really, that's a lot of what her contribution to the lab has been, is she's very much the people person, and the outreach, as well as the operations. And by the way, like CPA work and all that other stuff. Thank you. I mean, we would not have, there would be nothing without that, right?
Yeah.
But getting in there and bringing people into the experience is actually, a lot of work into itself. You have to produce an event, to manage lines, and
Right.
work with people.
We definitely define two roles when you're hosting an event: the operator and the agent. And I would consider myself as the agent, so bringing people in, managing the lines, making sure that everybody's ready for VR, and if kind of asking people, is this your first time? Do you get motion sick? And then Adam is the operator. He's the one in charge of taking people in, troubleshooting, setting up the arena. What else?
Well, I like to think of the operator as like being the concierge for
Yeah.
the user. It's kind of like the movie The Matrix. Neo didn't have to, like, learn kung fu. Tank just hit the kung fu button and Neo knew it. But Tank was the guy who knew how to update Steam VR and keep the drivers up to date and manage all this stuff.
Yeah,
There's always a job for somebody.
You got to make that easy for the people coming in, right?
Well, what is it like working together? I mean, how do you like you were saying, I mean, you do have different roles. How do you find your past experiences in virtual reality and even in marketing? How do you find that to be useful in what you're creating now? Because I mean, it's like you're creating an event on the go. You're creating Void on the go, right?
Right.
Like you could have the Void anywhere. How cool is that, you guys? Let's see some emojis for that. Who doesn't want that? An event on the go, with the Void. Experience
on the go.
I mean, the vision is like, if you have like 5 or 6 friends, who all have headsets, let's go to like a basketball court and play capture the flag, right?
Yeah.
And we could literally turn any space into anything we want to. But to your question, to answer your question of like was like working together and everything, it's really the respecting each other's insights has led us to be in this place in the market and be in an area that's useful. And when we first did VR, it was like we were in the developer community, and it was really easy for me to think that it was like kind of a enthusiast focused area. But through Eva's work at the pop-up store, we quickly found that the mom in the family was really controlling the entertainment spend of the household, and there was an opportunity to create things that the family could do together, things that friends could do together, things that couples could do together on a date. And that's where multiplayer. Yeah, we started working in multiplayer almost right out of the gate. But it's I wish I could actually give you a photo. There's this one of me at Game Nest with all the indie devs there, and we're in one of my first VR experiments using the cardboard. There's like 5 people in the room, and they're all pointing in different directions, not really
Right.
interacting
Not
with each other.
integrating. Right.
And that was one of those like geolocation needs to happen kind of moments.
Yeah, exactly. And then he saw the work that we did in Facebook Spaces and how much it brought joy to us and how
Right.
that presence and togetherness. And I feel like that also helped evolve the shared space and that kind of work, as well as constant user testing. I feel like that's a huge majority of this work.
Absolutely.
We have this saying. Well, Adam has taught me this Japanese saying that has been a lot of basis of our work. Adam, can you say it?
It was Gichigambutsu, which means go to where the activity occurs, and it's kind of a philosophy. It's a management philosophy, I guess. But it's kind of like you got to think of like if you're Toyota, right? And there's a break on the assembly line, and you're the executives. Do you have a meeting about it in a conference room? No, you go to the assembly line and you actually talk to the person who's having the break, and you say what's occurring here. You make a fix on the spot, and you kind of come back and give like a longer term view of like how do we keep this from occurring in the future.
So you basically go out there and do it yourself versus just hypothesizing about, oh, this is the way it's going to be. This is the market. We wanted to know where the market was. We wanted to know that inflection point, and that was with families. So I think that this shared space tech is perfect for that. I mean, I can even think of at Maker's Fair where we had a family. There was a grandmother, there was a daughter that was in a wheelchair, there was a mother, and there was a small child. We were able to put that whole family in our shared space, and they were hugging each other, in VR, and they were all, the same avatar. It didn't matter who was in a wheelchair, who was old, who was young. It was just,
Everybody was a
and
kid,
they were
right?
experiencing joy, and we love seeing that kind of stuff. So that's just a moment that I remember. I don't remember that.
It's pretty
Well,
unbelievable.
it was amazing because there's all these emergent play that was happening. You'd see people come together in interesting ways, people dancing together or playing rock, paper, scissors, or
dancing, like somebody was teaching
fun.
somebody to dance. It's just it's the organic things that happen out of this that are going to be the drivers of it.
But to get back
Right.
to the philosophy of like what Yogechi Gumbutsu has really done for our business.
For us, yeah.
When we first even did the pop-up, we said is like, let's go sell 100 VR headsets and see what we learn from that. And you just literally put one foot in front of the other and you just do it, right? And then you don't challenge your own beliefs, test your hypothesis. And this is kind of lean startup methodology. It's like you believe you have a great idea, but honestly, ideas are worthless. Execution is what's gold, because that way you can test the value of your idea, and then you find out where it's faulted, and maybe that diamond in the idea was actually a little piece poking through, and you could move away the stuff that didn't work out and really focus and develop something incredible.
What was that moment when you created it? Like when you finally got it to work, what was that moment like? Because I know a lot of developers, with that constant, just a hack, or like you have to change something didn't work. It's almost like IT problems, and then it's more than that because what you're trying to create is so hard. What was that feeling like when you finally got it?
Oh, it was just such a vindication, I think, is the feeling, because you are so alone in your understanding of the system that you're the only person who can answer your own questions. You have to, an error will occur, and there's no help for that other than yourself, and you got to solve it. And the moment when I first got geolocation working on the Quest, and this is just bone stock, no external hardware, and honestly, not even modifying the Oculus software either. I literally, I just fell to my knees. I went like, oh my goodness, thank you, finally. It was an incredible moment. But what's interesting though is that I'm not alone in feeling that way. Many other developers have these moments, and you have a question on the screen of, what do you need to do to move this incredible tech forward? Well, if it dies with me, then that's sad because I had this incredible thing that I could have shared with the world. And the best way to move forward is to align with a tribe of other people who also have share your values and want to see the same vision of the future unfold. And so we have a sign up on our website at arena.vrlab.com. And if that is literally us reaching out there and finding out who also is interested in doing these kinds of things, because quite frankly, even I could have a great little mom and pop VR shop business and be successful in our own community, but this needs to spread beyond that. And we need
like
and quite frankly,
education.
exactly, virtual classrooms. And
yeah, the
exactly.
use cases are endless for sure, but we want others to define some of that.
Right. And I could build the best software in the world, but it's going to do that one thing. Someone else has got to build out the rest, other things too. It's like an ecosystem is a community of software and stuff. So we also need to pull, that, we got to, there's actually a role for everybody in this. If you're a developer, there's space for you. If you're a venue wanting to host events, there's space for you. If you want to share VR, there's space for you. If you just want to experience this, we want to know what you enjoy and what you don't like and what you do like so that we can make better experiences in the future. So test our stuff.
Exactly. So if you want to be on
Absolutely.
this journey with us, sign up at arena.vrlab.com.
Yeah, and
We'll
we'd love
link
to
out have you join us on this journey.
Yeah, and this technology, it really showcases like the opportunities to connect to like a whole new world through VR. You're not
Totally.
just playing multiplayer with people globally, which is awesome. You're also able to bring an experience home with you with friends and actually experience the same thing at the same time without spending a huge amount of money.
It's consumer ready now. It really is. That's the beauty of it.
If you go to the next slide, I think there's a video. Well, hello, it feels like we're hanging out, guys, right? Social VR.
Oh yeah, this is that
make the video. So you can see the experience. Can you guys talk to this real quick?
Yeah, just so people were just going in there and having a great time, and just they were emergent play was happening. They were just dancing. Eva mentioned earlier, like a family came in and the daughter was in a wheelchair, and there was just this happy moment where they were all the same avatar and they were all equal in that moment. And you just see their happiness.
These kids, they were just so free with their movements. They didn't want to get out. They were done, and then they got back in the line to do it again. I think they just really liked being somebody else and not having to be the base that you are in this world. I think that they enjoyed that.
So this is where listening to your partner's intuition is important, though, because like you're right. Like we had like this one middle-aged guy came in, he was just stiff as a robot.
Yeah.
Right. and then his wife started dancing, and then he started doing the floss.
Yeah, he started flossing.
He started flossing, and he slowly started loosen up, and it was just like
it loosens you up.
It did.
It does.
It was great.
So just so the audience knows, you could see the people dancing, and then you see the computer screen with the robots. They saw each other as robots and could feel each other's presence. They could hold hands, touch each other.
Like, for example, we're in here. We can't touch each other, obviously, because we're not in the same room. But with this tech, we could actually touch each other, on your head, on the shoulder. We could give each other a hug.
You could vogue.
You could vogue together, all kinds of stuff.
Right. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming and joining us on the show.
Totally.
And we'll definitely, feels like we're hanging out right now, right? Like we're just,
I know it
I'm
does.
in Florida.
I miss
You're
you.
in North Florida. I'm in South Florida. I know I miss you too. Don't you guys all feel that way? Give me a heart if you do. But
feels like you're all in our living room.
this
is fantastic.
I know, we're just hanging out.
Yeah, feeling the love.
Feels like we're hanging out. Whatever. What are you doing tonight? It's Thursday. And then just wanted to do a big shout out to the production team. They created this world They're streaming
beautiful.
live. They're doing the slides, movements, everything.
Thank you, everybody.
And
It's gorgeous.
big shout out to Cami, Vivian,
Vivian.
and Projector.
Yeah.
And then finally, we do have a show next week, and we're going to have DJ Illuminati. She actually, after this show, you guys can go see her mix on DJ in Altspace at VR Rhythm Nights. And also later on tonight, there's going to be a tech talk with Jesse Damiani. And yeah,
Awesome.
so next week, make sure you come back. You know, we're learning about these amazing creators who are really blood, sweat, and tears, creating a whole new world, really. And it's a blank slate. And I think I'm so, honored to have you guys as my first guest too. And just to be
we're
Thank you.
so
people
honored.
to know you guys.
It is
because
an
what
honor for
you're
you to invite us.
creating is
Thank you.
so cool.
We're so
I mean-
honored. Hugs.
Oh,
Hug.
how's that one?
Kind
But yeah,
of.
make sure you come back next
I ran into my
week.
coffee table.
Yeah, and give props. But if anyone has any questions, definitely let's open it up, and maybe you have some questions for Eva and Adam on their shared space experience.
Okay.
I believe Yo-Yo Honey has a question.
What's the question?
Oh, we can't hear.
I think Yo-Yo Honey has a question.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, nope. They do not have a question anymore. We have one from online, though.
Okay,
they
sure.
want to know what new VR technology is coming out that you feel is most exciting for what you're doing in VR.
Hand tracking.
Well, I am excited that both the Index and the Quest have hand tracking.
Mhm.
Because that means that as a developer, I can now start to build across both of them, and that's just viability and the work there. So I think that's part of it. And really, it's because it gives you so much embodiment in your avatar. It makes you really feel like you're in VR a lot more. So that's very huge.
And my hands don't go numb because right now I'm holding on these controllers and I have carpal tunnel, so I can't wait to not have them.
I
It'll be
know.
free in
it's
a
gonna be
digital space.
crazy. Can you
And there's
imagine?
some
without
really
the controller?
there's some amazing
Yeah, my hands are
videos
numb.
on Twitter going around right now with what people are doing with hand tracking. It's I encourage everyone to go check that out because it is just 2 steps away from transforming how we do VR.
Yeah.
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 Our next question is from Nick Mitch.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Really
Sure.
interesting everything you're talking about. I'm in China now, and LBEs are really huge, but everybody's worried like how to continue that after the coronavirus, just with spreading of diseases and stuff. What do you guys do just to ensure like cleanliness and
Yes.
like the prevention of stuff like that?
So there's a hygiene phase you need to go through with your equipment between each use with the guests. And there's a couple of products in the market that are really good for that. Like, for example, you could get a VR cover and actually get extra inserts. And so each person has their own insert, and then you have someone helping you clean it between. So just
And alcohol. Lots of
But-
alcohol wipes.
But that said, I
between
mean,
juice.
Drinking
That's
alcohol?
eliminating, but still not obviously fixing the problem to the point that we want it to be. So, yeah.
I mean,
we
I
do
will
our
say,
best.
I can't imagine what's like right now in China for the LBE
Oh.
business because I just
Mic
know,
off.
That like
Mic on.
going to a conference and
Mic
catching a
off.
cold is just kind of the thing we all anticipate having.
Mm.
But now it's like, oh my gosh, it's just the coronavirus. Oh man, it's like there's terror there.
Right.
It's horrible.
Absolutely.
But
Mic on.
I'm confident that that we'll get through this. We're going to find out more as an industry about what we need to do. But I'm kind of where you are in terms of what's
Mic
going to
off.
happen with this virus. So we'll see.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, great question.
Our next question is from Bobby Carlton.
Oh,
Hey,
Hey,
Bobby.
hello.
Bobby.
Hi.
Where are you?
How are you? I'm right here.
Oh, there you
I,
are.
I'm sitting right here. Wonderful show. So I was lucky enough to try your Quest experience at OC6. It was really interesting. I thought a lot of potential, and I was just curious, where has that project gone, so far,
Since.
and so what is the next phase of that?
Sure. Adam, you can answer.
They're in sync.
So since you've done it, we put over 100 people through to really understand, like, do we have onboarding right? Do we have are people having good experiences and like, so there's that side. But the more important side is the technology itself, the geolocation and the multiplayer working together. I would call the technology that you experience more like a Model T in terms of how we optimize the environment. Where we need to take the tech is to make the Toyota Camry of this technology, right? Something that's reliable, it's easy, it's stable, it's so commoditized we don't really even have to care about it. So my work at the IHMC specifically has been to harden the core systems, make them more viable, make it so that we can do things like running in VR and actually do like real esports with the tech. What you did, we were dancing together, and there's actually a video of us on Twitter using the same tech to do a TikTok for Halloween, where we're all dressed up like skeletons, and we did the spooky, scary skeleton dance in VR together.
So basically, I just wanted to say that took about a weekend to build on top of the tech the foundational tech. So kind of talk about that something can be built upon that.
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, our goal of this is eventually to make a more widespread general application of this technology, so people can do everything from make virtual classrooms to laser tag or what have you. But the foundations of having an embodied avatar in a geolocated multiplayer environment are pretty fundamental across the space. And there's a couple of problems in that domain, things like motion smoothing and multiplayer. How are you actually working with a netcode in order to get that to work? That has, we can make that into a Rolls Royce and make that really strong and stable. So that's where the tech is going. We're going to be releasing products off of the core tech as we continue to develop it. So we did, the robot experience with you at OC6. We did the skeleton experience recently. We're doing another thing for Pensacon here, another week and a half. We've already done something for Maker's Fair previously. Probably we'll take the Pensacon thing to GDC. So maybe we'll be lucky enough to catch you there and show you what we're working on.
Woo! Yeah, that'd be really exciting. I do have like a quick follow-up question for you, and I appreciate the information you gave me here. Is so obviously with hand tracking being available for the Quest and sort of turning that device into this really singular, all-in-one headset, easy to go. Its impact on training and education. Do you see your technology as that evolves, and how does that impact workforce training? How does it impact manufacturing training? And in companies like Nestle and Volkswagen and all these other companies are using virtual reality as a mechanism to train employees. So do you see your technology playing a role in that?
Well, it's exactly what we're doing. We're building tech so that it can be useful in a training environment. We actually have some projects in process through the IHMC and VRLab that are in the educational sector that we'll discuss more probably later in the fall.
Give a first respondent example, Adam.
Yeah, so example of how let's think about this technology where it's the point of being commoditized, right? Where it's just a no-brainer, just works, blah blah. I would like to get it to the point where like if firefighters arrive to like a burning building, they can shoot a drone through the building, get a quick photogrammetry scan of the environment, and then the firefighters could then put on their headsets and then walk through the space and be able to plan how they're going to enter the building and what areas they need to affect. So, there's those kinds of ways that technology can be used, even in that, and that's what rapid deployment ad hoc anywhere can accommodate. I want a teacher to be able to take 20 kids to Mount Vesuvius and teach them about Pompeii and teach them history of ancient Rome, and be able to bring in an expert from the Smithsonian and have them telepresence in and answer questions to the classroom, to get them to the next part. So it needs to be to the point where this tech is just part of the stack, totally commoditized, and that's where we hope it ends up. And we look at like Nestle and the like. I would say to them that avatar embodiment, that's my area of research at the Institute, is your window into communicating to each other. We have to focus on what VR does better than telephones and everything today, is that I could use my hands to talk, I could use space to talk, I could use body language to talk. So we could communicate better in VR than we could over a phone. And things like hand tracking and the like allow us to communicate better.
Charge
So
complete.
these are the technologies that are going to make education alike even more effective.
And our last question is from Captain Ada.
It's Captain Adam.
Adam, sorry.
Captain Adam.
Hello. So, there's VR headsets for flight attendants. I'm actually a captain or a co-pilot for United Airlines.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to have like a VR type of tool for flight simulators, flight simulations.
Right.
Oh, well, I will say that I have spent an amazing amount of time in a VR flight simulator, Elite Dangerous. I don't know if you're familiar with the game, but it's a 1-to-1 scale representation of the Milky Way galaxy, and you fly a spaceship through it. You could either be in VR or not in VR, but I've had many hours in VR in that product. Yeah. So there's definitely incredible flight simulation capabilities. As a matter of fact, I even recommend, I think they're through on PC VR, they're talking about bringing forward the new Microsoft flight simulator to VR too. So, yeah.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah, check that out.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for joining and taking your Thursday night here with us. And hopefully we'll see you next week. And
thank you,
I want to
everybody.
hear, put your hands up, right? Like I want to hear the intro song or the outro. So yeah, put your hands up. But thanks again, and definitely, you can follow Eva and Adam at VRLab, the VRLab, on Twitter and Facebook. And this is the Hive social at the Hive VR. So definitely reach out. If you have any questions, you can just go ahead and send a message.
Thanks, Nava.
Thanks again.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy
Thank you, everyone.
Day.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.